My name is Clara Vance, and I am 34 years old working as a master electrician by trade. During a holiday cookout on my own back deck, my sister took her daughter by the hand, pointed directly at my lake house, and declared that the property would one day belong to the child. I nearly choked on my drink while my mother offered a terrifyingly settled smile that completely froze the blood in my veins. Nobody laughed or looked embarrassed because they all shared a dark, premeditated secret that had been hidden from me for months. What none of them knew that afternoon was that the fraudulent paperwork designed to steal my home and strip away my livelihood was already filed at the county courthouse down the road. I built that house with my own hands over 7 grueling years, pouring every earned dollar into the wiring and renovations while managing my own electrical business. My father taught me that electricity does not care about your feelings or your intentions because it only responds to correct work. He left me his old testing meter before he passed away, and that tool remains a chilling reminder of the discipline required to survive a brutal family betrayal. My mother operated under a completely different, manipulative philosophy where nothing belonged to any individual person and everything was shared among a toxic family collective. That philosophy sounded warm until you realized the forced sharing only moved in one direction whenever someone needed a financial rescue or a scapegoat. I rewired panels and repaired water heaters for my sister and her husband, without ever receiving gas money or even a basic expression of gratitude. Every sacrifice I made was quietly twisted and rewritten by my mother into proof that the family system worked perfectly to exploit everyone involved. The cookout started normally with burgers and family chatter until I witnessed my sister giving a grand tour of my property as if she owned the place. When I aggressively challenged them about who decided my future, my brother-in-law brushed off my concerns with a chilling warning that the house was not as mine as I believed. That subtle, terrifying threat planted a venomous seed of suspicion in my chest that refused to disappear by evening. Driven by professional survival instincts, I contacted the county records office a few days later to check my property standing during a routine refinance application. The title agent shocked me to my core by revealing a recorded private mortgage attached to my property securing a massive, life-altering debt I never authorized. The lender listed on the fraudulent document was none other than my own mother, claiming I borrowed a staggering $85,000 to purchase the home. I drove straight to the courthouse like a woman possessed to inspect the physical documents and immediately recognized the handwriting as a sickeningly calculated imitation of my signature. The notary public who stamped the fraudulent mortgage was a frequent golf partner of my brother-in-law, exposing a deliberate, premeditated criminal conspiracy orchestrated months before the family cookout. They had engineered an $85,000 debt out of thin air to trap me and swallow my hard-earned equity whole. Instead of screaming or falling apart in the courthouse lobby, I opened my trusty job logs and gathered 7 years of bank statements proving no such loan ever entered my accounts. I hired a brilliant real estate litigator named Elena who confirmed the fraudulent mortgage was legally void from the moment of its criminal creation. We prepared a comprehensive, devastating lawsuit including explosive claims for slander of title and a direct criminal referral for forgery to protect my property rights permanently. Further investigation revealed that my brother-in-law had previously suffered disastrous financial losses in a failed business venture and desperately needed cash to save his skin. He had apparently drained my late father's insurance annuity, with my mother's passive, cold complicity, bleeding thousands of dollars dry over several years. To cover up the missing funds from the family accounts, he fabricated the mortgage against my lake house as a brilliant, heartless financial cover story. I covertly recorded a private conversation where my brother-in-law casually admitted the signature closeness was good enough for family arrangements and that the debt would evaporate if I complied. Armed with his own spoken confession, the contractor timesheets placing me miles away on the forged signing date, and bank records showing zero funds transferred, our legal trap was completely locked and loaded. My family invited me to host Christmas Eve dinner, fully expecting me to surrender the property deed during the holiday gathering under heavy emotional manipulation and psychological torture. I accepted their invitation and prepared an elaborate holiday feast while keeping the legal documents hidden safely in my kitchen drawer alongside the devastating voice recording. The stage was set for a terrifying final confrontation where the absolute truth would explode their entire web of lies. The evening began with deceptive holiday cheer as my young niece played happily in the living room and everyone enjoyed the festive meal with sickening smiles and laughter. After dinner, my brother-in-law produced a leather folder containing the property transfer agreements and urged me to sign the house over to the family collective immediately. My mother watched with her familiar settled smile, expecting complete compliance as the ultimate reward for her calculated orchestration. I calmly excused my niece to another room and placed the gray binder of evidence directly on the table alongside 2 brown envelopes from my attorney. I revealed the forged mortgage documents, the contractor timesheets proving my absolute alibi, and the notary confession detailing how the crime was executed. The color drained completely from my brother-in-law's face as he realized the sheer magnitude of the trap he had walked straight into. Without raising my voice an inch, I placed my phone on the table and played the audio recording of his own voice admitting the signature was close enough for family control. He panicked and knocked his chair backward in sudden, furious rage, screaming accusations about illegal recordings while my mother stared silently at the printed annuity statements. She discovered through those exact papers that her own signature had been forged for years to drain her funds dry. I handed them the first brown envelope containing a strict settlement agreement requiring a full written confession, repayment schedules, and self-reporting to state insurance regulators. The second envelope held the active court complaint for forgery and slander of title that was already scheduled for immediate formal service by a sheriff's deputy. My sister realized the horrifying, unforgivable truth about her husband's actions and firmly demanded that he sign the confession right then and there. Instead of holding her guilty husband accountable, my mother turned her blind anger entirely toward me and declared with ice in her veins that I was no longer her daughter if I forced him to sign. She chose to protect the man who robbed her rather than the daughter, who uncovered the truth, proving she was permanently trapped by her own toxic family philosophy. She grabbed her coat and walked out into the freezing winter snow without looking back once. My brother-in-law signed every single page of the confession under immense pressure from my sister before leaving the house in complete disgrace with his ruined marriage hanging by fragile threads. Weeks later, a civil court judge officially voided the fraudulent mortgage and restored my absolute ownership rights over the lake house permanently and decisively. My business expanded rapidly, and I hired a dedicated young apprentice to teach the trade, ensuring my future remained entirely secure and protected. I learned through this agonizing ordeal that true love never requires you to sacrifice your hard work or accept calculated betrayal disguised as shared family responsibility. My property belongs solely to me, and my boundaries are now defended by unshakable legal foundations and personal strength. Anyone facing similar manipulation should gather their evidence in complete silence and strike back hard because true justice always rewards those who do the necessary work.